Hello leaders, my name is Jason Graziani. Welcome to our channel, Leader for Life. Today, we are going to be talking about handling office drama, or whatever organization you're a part of, or whatever group that you lead. If you're in an office, you call it office drama. If you're at a church, you probably call it church drama. Maybe at a school, you call it school drama, but I think you understand what I mean. It means when people in your organization are having issues with one another, maybe it's a problem that they have with you, maybe that's causing some adverse behavioral actions that's affecting the performance of your overall team, and how to handle it. And so we're going to go through a couple tips today, 10 points specifically on how to handle the office drama. So first, number one is most important, I believe, is to determine what you will tolerate and what you will not tolerate. In other words, what are the standards and expectations of your organization? I don't know your team, I don't know your business, I don't know your group. You're the one that knows that. Here's a good test to know how well you're doing in number one. If I was to show up to your location, if I interviewed your teammates or the people that fall underneath your leadership, and I asked them a simple question, what does your mentor, coach, leader, or boss expect out of you? In other words, the best way to tell how a leader is doing with the communication of standards and expectations is to speak to the people that they're in charge of leading and ask them what's expected of you. If I get different answers from all different people within your organization, maybe you haven't articulated the standards and the expectations that you have of the people. And let's face it, when somebody's disappointed with somebody else, it's because there was an expectation that was not met. And sometimes people either don't know what's expected of them or they don't know why you're upset to begin with. And so the first thing is to make sure what is tolerated within your team, what is not tolerated within your team, and do your people know about that? So the first step would be to write down what are the standards I have, what are the expectations I have, and articulate those clearly, even printing it off and giving it to your people and having a conversation about it to make sure you guys are on the same page. Number two, listen, but be careful of allowing whining. So when I say listen, that doesn't mean be a friend, okay? You could be compassionate. You could be caring towards the individual, but you're not somebody that they dump on. That is not your job. Now, we have a saying within our organization that says, if you talk to the people below you, you'll go down. And if you talk to the people on the sides of you, you'll sometimes stay confused. And if you talk to the person above you, you'll typically go up. And likewise, we say take negatives up. So if you're frustrated or you are upset with something, don't take it to subordinates. Don't take it to your peers. Take it to your coach. Take it to your mentor. Take it to the boss of your organization. And so you need to listen, but never allow gossip and never allow negative talk behind people's back, because trust will break down. And then people won't feel comfortable coming to you. And so whatever somebody comes to you about, even if you think it's ridiculous, even if the person annoys you, you have to respect that process. They're an individual and they have a right to be heard, even if you don't always agree with it. Number three, ask them. Ask them what? Ask them what's been the past history with this conflict. So if the issue is between two members, or maybe the issue is between them and you, or maybe the issue is between them and something on the outside. Before giving advice or jumping to conclusions or giving your coaching, we as leaders oftentimes jump the gun and we sometimes want to explain something and we may not even know all the details about it. I need to ask them, what's been the history with you and that individual? Maybe there's something from 2-3 years ago that hasn't been taken care of. And so you think you're addressing a problem today, but in reality, the problem that they have was something that hadn't been taken care of long ago. And so by asking, what's been your working relationship, or have you had any other conflicts with this person? They may say, well, yeah, I had a conflict a few years ago. Aha. Does that have anything to do with today? Well, not really, but is there something left unresolved? Is there something in the stomach? Is there something in the mind? Is there something in the heart that's still there that hasn't been addressed from the past? And so you can't give advice on today's problem if today's problem really happened yesterday. You need to find out about yesterday to give advice today. Number four, isolate the problem. Make sure you know exactly what's going on. And so sometimes what happens is there's a conflict between person A and person B. But that conflict, neither one of them wants to bring up to you the details of the conflict. And so you know what they may do? They may create a second conflict, or they may have a different issue to bring up to talk to you. And while you're solving that problem, you may uncover that you weren't even solving the real issue that was there because you didn't isolate it. And so by isolating the problem, it would be like, John, Mary, is what the frustration is or the disagreement is, does it involve what happened last Friday in the board meeting specifically, or is there something else that we're not addressing? And you have to get out, because maybe somebody's issue is 2, 3, 4, 5 situations that have taken place, and then now you're finally hearing about the conflict on the back end, but you never knew what happened on the front end. Number 5, create a game plan. Reestablish expectations. What are the next steps? So now that you know, okay, hey, I know the standards and expectations. I've listened to the problem. I've asked them about the past. And now that we've isolated the problem, what do we do now? Now that we know the problem, it's isolated. You're the leader. You're sitting in front of a couple people or a group of people that have an issue. Now that you've isolated it, what's the next step? And I typically like to go back to the fundamentals of what we've all agreed on, which are standards and expectations. You know, in the Christian faith, we call this the 10 Commandments. You know, or maybe you play on a football team and the coach has 3 rules of success. Or maybe you're in a classroom and the teacher has certain guidelines and expectations that they expect there. As long as you go back to what everybody once agreed on, that's the point where we could say, okay, no, we do agree that we should treat others how we'd want to be treated. Okay, great. And we also agreed that we're going to put our best foot forward and have a positive mentality about everything. Okay, great. Do we still agree that, guys? Yes, we agree on that, Jason. Okay, great. That's the first step. Now we're going to keep taking steps forward, and we're going to plan those steps out. As we get to number 6, I would want to make sure to communicate with other parties involved. So maybe I know the frustration or the concern or the drama that's going on in the organization between the parties involved, but then maybe there's other people involved. Maybe somebody saw something or heard something that they also have an opinion about, but they're nervous to bring it up because in order to bring it up, they may be throwing some other peers under the bus. And so maybe what's going on is there's certain people in the organization that are unintended consequences. Those people are feeling the burden, or they're carrying the weight of a problem between 2 people that didn't have anything to do with them, but because they're now involved, they're affected. It's very important that you establish the truth. What are all the parties involved? Who else is affected? Because maybe you solve an issue between 2 people, but maybe there was an unintended consequence that happened over here and you never took care of this issue. And because you didn't get the truth, you're going to have to take care of this problem over here later. And that's annoying when you're trying to lead an organization and cast a vision and move forward. Number 7, determine your end result. What are you trying to accomplish? Listen, unfortunately, as a leader, you may come across situations where it's time for somebody to go. Maybe this is a W-2 environment and there's a write-up history or a disciplinary history, and maybe your outcome is that somebody needs to be transitioned. Or maybe you're in a 1099 world and this is a volunteer army and nobody's getting laid off or fired, but maybe that the conversation means that this is an individual that may need to take a break for 90 days. I know Patrick, my mentor, I remember when he said, you know, Jason, it's very rare that somebody needs to transition or to take a walk or to leave the organization, but sometimes when it makes sense that somebody needs to take a transition, instead of saying you're not a fit here anymore because that creates a defensive, argumentative situation, you may just ask somebody, I think it may make sense to take a break for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days. And if your heart still longs for that business or being on that team, or you're willing to address some of the behavioral issues that you've had in the past, then maybe that's kind of a good way of saying that needs to go, that person needs to go. But maybe you're just trying to accomplish, maybe you want to retain everybody. I don't know. But before you go into the problem solving side, make sure you know what you want as the leader, because remember, you're the leader. And if you're the leader, they may be in a fog of their conflict and drama and they may not be able to see clearly. But you as the leader have to be able to see clearly and know what's best for your team and your organization. And whether that means taking care of these issues and then keeping both parties, or whether that means somebody needing to leave, you're going to have to ultimately make that decision. And I would consult another mentor of yours before making that decision. Number 8, communicate properly. What do I mean by communicating properly? You'll see on the board there's private and public communication. Leaders deal with their people one-on-one. Leaders also deal with issues in group settings, on stage. Maybe a pastor is addressing an issue for the whole congregation at church. Maybe somebody that's a principal is addressing an issue that's happening amongst many teachers. Here's how you know which is the best bet. If the issue that you're having, or the drama in this case that you're having, involves one or two parties, meaning it's a small group or one person, don't address it publicly. That's shameful, guilt-ridden. It causes resentment all over the place, and it never grows the organization. You may feel better. I've done it. I've had it done to me. And you may feel better afterwards and think, I told that person what's up. I showed them what's going on. It never grew your business, and you know it. It never works. Sometimes that we're imperfect leaders and we make mistakes. And so sometimes we'll be on stage and we're really upset with one person or two people, or we're annoyed by dealing with the drama of one or two people on our team. And instead of dealing with it privately, we try to cast these assertions from stage, or maybe we marginalize them or diminish it or make them feel bad about it or stupid about it, and that's never a good thing. When it's been done to me, I never liked it, and when I've done it to other people, it's never worked. And so take it from the experience that I've had on both sides, that don't do a public at admonishing somebody when really you should have just dealt with it one-on-one. But the flip side is, you may be dealing with an issue that affects a lot of people within your organization, in which case I would absolutely address it publicly. I would absolutely address it publicly if you deem that to be the best course of action. Number 9, make sure it's over and final. Gain agreement from all parties. Okay, John, Mary, if we go ahead and do these steps, okay, we created a game plan. If we communicated, do you feel that the problem has been solved? Do you feel better about where we're at? Is there any lingering issues? Because I don't want to walk out of this meeting and carry on and then have something come back next Friday. Is everything taken care of? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, John, do you accept Mary's apology? Mary, do you accept John's apology? Those types of scenarios, making sure that you don't leave that meeting until it's over and final. Because the health of your organization relies on the ability for your team to all work in a cohesive manner. And if there's still friction going on there, it's not gonna work, and you don't want that to happen. Finally, number 10, assert yourself in a positive way. Display confidence for your group to see. Listen, even though you think you kept the problem, contained over here, everybody knows what's going on. I mean, let's face it, people gossip in bathrooms, people text each other, people contact each other on social media, and then even the things that aren't said, people feel. They feel negative energy, or they feel that there's a conflict, or they feel like something bad's going on in the office. And then they start murmuring, uh-oh, did you see boss? Boss looks really upset. Oh, did you see Joe? Joe thinks he's really... All that stuff is going on, and so don't pretend that it doesn't exist. Just like parents that fight in the house and they think their kids didn't hear it. The kids know all the problems that are going in the house. Don't treat your people like they're children that don't know what's going on. Treat your people like adults. In other words, when you come off of it, you say, hey, guys, I'm so glad to be able to be in a leadership position. Solving conflict and managing conflict is one of the best parts, because now we're going to go into the next future direction. And now that we've solved some of these things, we're going to go to the next level. And guys, this team's going to achieve greater things than it's ever achieved before, because we've learned and we're improving. And you want to know something? Everybody's going to say, yeah, we are, because it's the truth. But the key is you're the one that sets the tone. And so as we recap, handling office drama has everything to do with not the drama itself, not the people involved, but you as the leader. Because when you choose to be a leader for life, that's a responsibility that you accept. And as a leader, you can't walk away from problems. You can't walk away from issues. You can't pretend that things don't happen. You can't pretend that it doesn't exist. You've accepted the responsibility. You're watching this content. You probably watch other content about how to develop yourself into being a better leader. And I encourage you to never stop growing, never stop improving. And just because you may not be an ace at this, and as I covered these 10 steps, you probably thought of 100 arguments that you messed up with. Or you probably thought about a drama that you just dealt with last week and you're like, oh shoot, I wish I watched this video earlier. If that's the case, subscribe to our channel, Leader for Life. Share this content with other people that needs to hear it, because who isn't dealing with drama? Everybody's dealing with drama. We're going to continue to produce solid content for you so that whether you're leading any type of organization, that you improve, you get better, and I hope this helped you to solve your conflict better. Team, leave us a comment if you need anything from us. Our production team will get together and we're going to put together our next videos that we have. Anything that you need help processing and solving, anything that I could do to help shorten the gap to where you could become a better leader and a faster pace, we're willing to do it, Leader for Life. And so take care, God bless, and I look forward to seeing you solve your office drama.